My name is Gloria Martinez-Granados. I am an interdisciplinary artist living in Phoenix, Arizona. My practice involves mediums which include printmaking, fiber arts, beadwork, and most recently, performance art. The inspiration for this work is layered. It's a lot having to do with my history as an undocumented student growing up in the state of Arizona and the multiple challenges that I faced as I progressed in attaining higher education. This work has been something that has been developing over time. I often reflect on documents, my personal documents that I have, received growing up. Things such as certificates from awards, graduations, and in this instance, it's my identification cards from school, mostly high school and community colleges that I've attended. This is a piece that's very dear to my heart. It's also a healing practice for me. I'm working and I'm reflecting on these experiences that I've had, and I'm thinking about the current situation and how it continues to affect people, young students that are getting ready to graduate from high school and are dreaming up what the next step in their career is and what types of obstacles will be there for them because of their immigration status. With this piece, I wanted to present these documents in a unique form. The way that they're presented as an installation, it's a cohesive unity of all of these elements that are meant to represent every single student that is currently graduating from Arizona high schools. There's approximately 2,000 students that will graduate and will have extreme challenges financially to be able to continue their education into the system of higher education. What I did is I printed these 2,000 ID cards that are me, but they're meant to represent others that are going through a similar experience. I'm also very much inspired by Chicano artists and the forms of activism within that community and that culture. Growing up in Arizona and being around all of these Chicano artists has been something extremely inspirational for me to see the type of impact that art can have, not just in connecting in an aesthetic way, but also in the types of discussions that can form from it and the ways that we can activate a community to move to create change. Migración, mi conexión con la tierra y cómo mi cuerpo existe en esta tierra son algunos temas que yo toco en el trabajo que yo hago con la arte. Estos temas son algo que son inspirados por mi experiencia cuando yo vine a los Estados Unidos con mi familia siendo una niña. Esta situación ha sido algo muy único para mí, de la forma de que yo me relaciono con la tierra, qué significa cruzar esas barreras, qué significa tener ciertas opresiones por la falta de un documento, qué significa ser más que ese documento. Mi trabajo es algo que me ayuda a mí personalmente. Es difícil para mí tocar estos temas porque es un trauma que mi vida ha sido politizada, es una forma política que no me da una tranquilidad en establecer mis raíces. Entonces el arte es algo vital para mí, para poder expresar no solamente las cosas que se me hacen difíciles en ser un humano y poder convivir con otras personas alrededor de mí. Entonces, estos traumas son algo que con la arte yo estoy sanando en conectarme con esta cultura que yo he estado desconectada de ella por haber dejado el lugar donde nací, por estar en una nueva cultura que no completamente me acepta, y también buscar mis raíces. El arte me ayuda para practicar formas de arte que mis ancestros han practicado y tener yo esa conexión con eso. La arte me ayuda también para darme una voz, para señalar cosas que en nuestra sociedad no están bien, que son injustas, y para dar una voz a otros también. Yo soy nacida en Guanajuato, México, y mi familia también es de ahí. Nosotros emigramos a los Estados Unidos cuando yo estaba muy chica, tenía 8 años, pero la cultura siempre ha sido algo que continúa a informar mi trabajo en el arte. Los colores, la música, las comidas, todo eso son cosas que inspiran los trabajos que yo completo. Guanajuato también es un lugar que tiene una historia muy vasta y tiene artistas como Diego Rivera que son reconocidos por ser nacidos ahí. Entonces todas esas cosas son algo que influencia mi trabajo. Mi familia es algo que me da mucha fortaleza por la resiliencia que ha habido entre ellos. Por ejemplo, mi padre dejó su casa cuando solamente tenía 9 años. Su papá era alcohólico y su papá trabajaba también artes, era un artesano su papá, pero por la historia que mi papá tiene con la arte y el alcoholismo, es algo que ha sido una forma negativa para él, pero en mí es algo que ha quebrado ese trauma generacional y me ha ayudado para reconectar con esa fortaleza que existe en mi cultura. Yeah, this work is very much possible by my unique experience in being documented. For those that don't understand this term documented, it stems from having DACA, which is the acronym for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. In 2012, President Barack Obama announced this program for young individuals who met certain requirements to be able to apply for it, and through it, we have been able to gain a driver's license, a social security number, work permits. We've been able to continue our education, to buy homes, and to be more of a force within our communities and to really flourish and to share the skills that we have gathered through living in the United States, to really have a chance to live the full American dream. For students that are currently having this situation where attaining higher education comes with greater challenges, having to pay 2 to 3 times more in out-of-state tuition, regardless of having had been in the educational system from the state. They really need the support of others, and there's different ways that we can support students. One of them is to connect with organizations such as aliento.org, who works to tie art and healing with these communities to move forward and to create opportunities so that these students don't feel like they're being left out or left behind and that there is no future for them. I think it's very important that we all actively engage with these students that are being affected, because we are a unity. We are all connected. So, especially in a classroom, any teacher can see it, that if there's one student that is being left out, or that isn't being given the assistance that they need, it doesn't just affect that student, it affects all of them. So I really hope that this installation allows viewers to make those connections, to see what 2,000 students actually look like. This is a materialized form of that number. I feel that many times we hear numbers of people that are affected, but to actually see it materialized and to actually have some form that it holds, and to have the tools to know how to actively create change so that there is equity. It's very important. So the process for this installation is very much conceptually tied to the process of undocumented students going through our education system as it is now. The way that I began this was by collecting my personal documents. I design my prints by connecting these documents to the message that I want to give. And in this case, I wanted it to be replicated. I wanted it to be this repetition, right? Because it's been something that many students have faced going through the education system, not just me. So I felt that printmaking was the perfect medium for me to create this work. These are all lithographs. The lithographic process is also a laborious one. You begin by working on a limestone. You're directly putting the image on the limestone, and the stone is able to hold memory, and therefore it will print many, many images to a high quality. With this particular piece, I designed it to be a digital way of printing the images in a CMYK separation. So it's 4 different layers, yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. And when they're layered on top of each other, they create a full image. Because they are documents, and because I wanted the viewer to be intrigued by what they were looking at, I didn't go for perfection, which is often something that we do as printmakers. We rely on having this repetitive process be perfect, so we very much prepare everything and registering our marks so that they're able to come out perfect. But in this one, I wanted it to have somewhat of an abstractness to it. So the layers don't completely fit or sit on top of one another. The next part of this process was to cut out each individual ID card. I then used a laser cutter to cut out 2,000 ID cards. They're suspended from fishing line. They're held in each spot by ball chain. This is very much a skill set that is jewelry making. So in this piece, you really get to see a lot of the different interdisciplinary approaches that I take on my artwork. The installation part of it too becomes something that the artwork expands on the narrative that it's touching upon. So in this case, you see that the ID cards actually are working in both negative and positive space. They're suspended in time as if they're waiting for something, as if they're waiting for some sort of action, and there's very slow movement that happens within it. They also form a wall, and the wall was something that happened in the space. So I think that that's something that I really enjoy about installation type of work, that you can plan it out, But once it sits in the space, it holds its own value. And when people interact with it, it also creates a space where the narrative really expands more. So I really hope that the narrative that continues on this is for the viewer to see that this is affecting a lot of people out there, that these are investments in our community that we have as taxpayers in the education system supported their education, and it doesn't make sense for us to just completely cut it off as they're getting ready to continue that education and find ways to continue to support their communities. When I was young and growing up, I previously talked to you about my dad leaving his home at a young age. He never went to school. Reading and writing was something that he self-taught. My mother also didn't go to school. So I come from parents that, because they didn't have an education, they understand the great value that education gives you. My dad always told me growing up that your education is something that no one could take away from you. And as I face different challenges in the education system, these words really haunted me. And I believed him. So his words gave me great strength to face these barriers and through the challenges still achieve a higher education. Because I believed him, and I did believe that your education is something that can never be taken away from you. It's more than just that certificate. It's more than just that document. It's the relationships that we build with our teachers as mentors, our friends, the types of communities that we're building. So I am really grateful that my parents migrated to the United States and that they uprooted and made that courageous commitment to risk leaving everything to offer their children a better future, and that they really ingrained in us from a young age that education was something that was very valuable. And beyond that certificate, it's something that allows us to really think outside the box and to engage in life in a more valuable sense.